You're listening to the Shipyard Cat Podcast, the unofficial SAFC podcast for fans everywhere.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the pod. I'm your host Adam tonight, and we're going to be talking about that phenomenal comeback just yesterday, coming down from 2-0 down to beating Bournemouth 3-2, which is a feat in itself, shall we say. And then we'll be going to later on today talk about the up and coming game, because the games are coming thick and fast this month, as we said in the last pod, where we take on Liverpool. Joining me to discuss this and break down it all is the same two as ever, Robin and Kev. How are we doing today, Kev?
I've dried off, I've thawed out, and I don't think I'll stop talking about that game. I mean, that is an absolute result. Like, well, obviously, we'll break it down, but yeah 2-0 down against what are a good side. It shows we've got some cojones, to say the least.
Exactly so. And Robin, yourself, how are you doing today, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. Obviously, a bit gutted, really, that I wasn't well enough to make it.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like I said on the preview, the little lads, you know, who made use of mine and Piper's ticket, I mean, what an introduction for his first ever game.
Exactly. Well, lads, let's kick off proceedings straight away. So the report that came out after the game was our first time coming back from a 2-0 win, 2-0 down in 188 Premier League games that we came back from that scoreline. So first things first, that's a stat in itself. But, lads, I want to just talk about that entirety of that game. We'll cover the goals separately in just a few minutes. But from the minute one, once again, the crowd was cheering every single thing again. The weather seemed literally didn't put us off at all, did it?
Well, look, I'll let Kev take the lead on that one, you know, because he was the one that was there getting wet.
I'll be honest, for the first 10, 15 minutes, I think their goals stunned our crowd. It was pretty quiet. I think the fans were a little bit unsure how it was going to go. And you can see the goal as quickly as we did. It was and against the run of play, it really set the tone. I think a lot of fans felt, how's this game? Is this going to be one of them games where we just can't make it work? And then the weather just seemed to turn. When Tyler Adams scored his goal, which, fair play, look, that is a decent goal. You don't see many from the halfway line, and do you know what? Fair play for him having the awareness to go for that. But yeah, when that ball hit the back of the net, every single Sunderland fan looked around at each other stunned and went, "Uh-oh, we need to wake up here. Otherwise, this is going to be, well, who knows?" But you know, Bournemouth, for the 2,000 fans they brought, made a fair bit of noise. It was just quite interesting that once, we'll obviously talk about the full lot in a minute, but yeah, when we went 3-2 up, their fans turned from singing about themselves to bringing out the "Where's Your Famous Atmosphere?" Adam Johnson. It was almost like they'd forgotten they were in the Premier League and had fallen back into the Championship with the level of banter they were throwing at us. Yeah, I just thought, you know, calling us tin pot and my God, at one point I thought I heard them singing "My Garden Shed." Well, I mean, that would be a bit rich, right? But let's break down the game. I mean, lads, what did you make? You've probably both now seen the highlights and all the rest of it. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, I've seen as much as I can. It's been a bit sort of like light with what they've shared this week, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, obviously the goals against the run of play, the first one, obviously danger from Semenyo. I mean, by, you know, some of the extended highlights I've seen, you know, he caused us a few problems later on in the game as well with his pace down the left, as, you know, we said in the preview he would do. Yeah, I mean, The second goal, I mean, like you said, to have the awareness to spot Roofs off his line,
Yeah.
And to be able to convert it as well. I mean, anyone can hoof a ball from anywhere, but to actually get it on target and stuff. And I mean, you got to feel a bit sorry for Roofs because the system we play, that's what they want him to do. They want him to be up there, so it is a danger with that style of play that this could happen. But not many people will be capable of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
So fair play to him for that. And I mean, obviously, seen lots of things about the penalty. It's a few people saying it was contentious. Obviously, the Bournemouth fans moaning about the referee saying that they gave everything to us. But by all accounts, I think he was poor for everybody. I mean, the penalty, is it a penalty? Is it not a penalty? Is it one of those that's a bit soft? Yeah, I mean, Ronaldo stepped across the player, but then he kicked him.
Yeah.
So it's a penalty. I mean, and considering that in the Fulham game, like we said, I mean, Wilson was pushed by Batty, and he was the last man on the pitch. And that really should have been a red card, and that was, early in the game. So, I mean, we might have got that one then, but then, coming out the second half, and for Traore to score his first goal for us, but also as well, I mean, the disguise by Xhaka looked like he was going to shoot, and then just little reverse ball into Traore's feet, and squeezed it in the near post, and I don't know, it's just that.
Mm-hmm.
Then obviously the winner, so that corner from the same side it happened against Coventry, but this time it was Brobbey instead of Ballard. Obviously Brobbey used his strength. I think was it Lewis Cook that was, fouling him, basically holding him and trying to touch him, but he used his strength, shows, what sort of player he can be, and he was determined to get his head on that ball and obviously put it into the back of the net.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, obviously Kev has probably got the best idea, but I mean, what I've seen of Petrovic from obviously yesterday before, and I'm sort of glad we didn't pay that 25 odd million pound for him, because I think we've got the keeper of the season basically so far.
I mean, saves wise, obviously Roofs, in my opinion, Roofs had more to do during that game in terms of the shots that were being thrown at him, but he got everything right. He had one bad goal kick, which went out of touch. And other than that, to be honest, he's proving why we probably did get the right keeper out of the two. You get why why any player makes a decision to go to an established team, but you'd probably look at that now and think to yourself, well, you'd almost class Sunderland as an established Premier League side the way we're playing. Every pundit and plaudit now is saying, well, actually, they're here to show what they're about. That's a serious performance we're putting on so far. But no, look, for me, Alex, is it Alex Scott?
Yeah.
Not the presenter from she's on I'm a Celebrity, isn't she? The actual footballer, the one that currently plays, not the ex-lasses. Look, for me, he could have easily hit 2 yellow cards before half time, but he seemed to have his way with the referee that he kept doing the whole, what did I do? He reminded me of Bruno Fernandes.
Mm-hmm.
Got away with silly little tackles and fouls and pulling back and kicking the ball away. And every time the referee went to have a word with him, he did the whole, I'm innocent. I didn't mean it. And he got away with it. Which is why I think Bournemouth were forced to change at half time, because, to be honest, he wouldn't have made it past the 50th minute. He'd have got another yellow card. But maybe that's one of the reasons he was brought off, because the manager realised that he's probably got away with it. But justice was served in the 90th minute when they got 3 yellow cards, which now means they've got 3 players suspended for their next game, because they did spend the whole game playing dirty. Once we scored in the 69th minute, they just resorted to physical attack. Like there was just so many times there was no attempt for balls. Like they wiped out Mukiele at one point and got away with it. I think Mukiele got a yellow card actually out of that. There was just a few incidents where it was like, what are they doing? And obviously then the elbow incident, which got their player sent off. He ran to the fourth when he finally did leave the pitch after protesting. He ran straight to the fourth official and said he'd been elbowed by Siddiqui.
Mm-hmm.
If you check Siddiqui's Instagram, he's the one with the busted lip.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but they got what they deserved after that.
Yeah.
And my word, one more thing before I let you carry on, Adam. I know you're trying to host it. Their manager, oh my God, he is a whiny so-and-so. He spent the entire game peppering the fourth official and only got a yellow card. Half their bench got yellow cards. I was waiting for him to start, carding fans. Tim Robinson lost his head. But, yeah for me, they realistically could have had the manager sent off, but by the way he was going on, because my understanding is you're not meant to be attacking the fourth official constantly with comments and verbal, and like he was for their set pieces when it was sort of shooting towards the away fans, he was stood in our box. Where's the control? I thought the fourth official was meant to. I mean, Robin, your take on this would be great from the touchline. My understanding is the fourth official was meant to say to him, you give your instructions from your box. Stop encroaching and walking halfway up the touchline.
Yeah, I mean, the fourth officials are supposed to do that. That is why they've basically been put there. Because, obviously previously, I mean, there were fourth officials at games and stuff, but they were hidden away sort of thing. It was only in case, the referee or one of the assistants picked up an injury. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, I mean, I've seen other managers do it as well. I mean, he did seem like a petulant child.
Yeah.
But, you look at the antics of, Arteta at Arsenal and even Pep Guardiola at City. They all do it. And I think because of who they are, they seem to get away with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Iriola, I mean, I like him as a manager, but my God, he needs to work on his petulance because it's not acceptable behaviour that, you give your instructions, fair enough, but, to be like that, I'm not a fan of any manager that does that. And I mean, yeah, you want your manager to have passion and stuff. I mean, you see it. I mean, with Regis, obviously when we score, he's celebrating and stuff, but he doesn't let himself get frustrated with things that go against him that he can't control, like the referees and stuff. Whereas, like I say, Iriola was getting incensed, with every decision. And I mean, obviously his interview afterwards as well. I mean, come on. I mean, you need to look at yourself a bit there. And it goes to obviously sorry, Adam, but with the red card, obviously, I mean, that ill discipline in the 90 plus 6 minutes or whatever it was. I mean, but that comes from the coaching staff, because if they're seeing their coaching staff acting like that, then obviously the players are going to say, well, if they're doing it, I'm going to do it.
Mm-hmm. That was the thing for me as well. And I think I generally do believe that the Bournemouth admin got a bit sick of him, because when you look at their social media accounts of when he's given his account of the event after full time, it's 14 seconds long. You can't do a full assessment of a game in 14 seconds, unfortunately. With goals for me, I want to start with Brian Brobby for my comments on it. Is he's just built differently. There's just something about him and his strength to either win the ball, as in what we saw against Arsenal, the determination to do that, the determination to win the header, and what you lads will probably agree with, but obviously me and Robin's only saw the highlights there, with the fact being Robbie's getting pulled all over and held so much, yet he's got the strength still to get his head onto that ball and it still goes in the back of the net.
Yeah, their fans were of the opinion he had an easy header and it was easy for him to score.
Exactly, yeah. And what put the cherry on the icing or the cake, whatever you want to call it, for me, was watching the highlights and seeing Evan Nielsen trying to be the ball greedy player that he is to get on the end of it when Semenyo's deflected shot was going in anyway, and for them just running off, jumping up and down, celebrating, for it just to be told it's offside. I know, obviously, we as Sunderland fans, obviously, we would want our strikers to try and be trying to get on the end of any little scraps that they can to get a goal. But if you can see the ball rolling into the net because of a deflection and you're offside, which you could tell he knew he was offside because he didn't celebrate himself properly. That was the big thing for me.
I mean, it's a goal poacher's instinct, isn't it, to
Yeah,
try and get a tap in. Every striker loves one of them once in a while.
yeah,
But yeah, for me, and from what I've heard from a few Bournemouth fans, that's not the first time Evan Nielsen has done that before.
yeah,
He's cost them a goal by doing something stupid, and on this occasion he did. But I enjoyed that moment because when Enzo smashed it against the side netting,
yeah,
their fans quite, enjoyed jeering us and being like, "Way," because a few fans from obviously the other side thought it had gone in.
yeah,
So yeah, of course, when they started to run off to celebrate that goal, and the linesman's flag obviously went up, yeah,
yeah,
our fans absolutely loved throwing it back at them because every chance they had to jeer,
yeah,
they did. But at the end of the day, it's like you said at the start of the pod, one of those rare occasions where a team comes from 2 goals down,
yeah.
win 3-2. I mean, this weekend's been quite the goal fest. There's been quite a few high scoring games. Man
Mhm.
City, I think they've finished 3-1 or 3-2. Us,
3-2 for them. They beat
like,
Leeds 3-2.
yeah, it's one of them for me. I'm glad when you think about it in goal difference, for us, it's only a 1 goal. Sadly,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been nice to have made that I don't know, a 4-2 or a 3. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But yeah, when it was 2-0 down in 15, 16 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
it was like a moment of
Yeah.
uh-oh.
I think that was the same thing probably for myself and Robin because obviously we weren't able to get to the game, but it was more the fact when we probably looked at our phones and like at 15 minutes because I was like 2-0 down. It's 15 minutes. I was like, ah. And I was like, I literally said uh, to my friend at the time, I was like, we're 2-0 down and Bournemouth are a very good squad this year. This could be possibly bigger. And then just see the sheer determination, as I said at the start, the sheer grit, the determination to turn that around on his head and come away with the 3 points is absolutely massive. One thing I wanted to cover effectively, kind of finally on that game because we could wax lyrical about this game for a full pod's worth, but obviously we've got to digress into Liverpool a minute. Is what Regis Labrie pretty much said about Siddiqui because he got asked, "Oh, you had one of your players getting some treatment towards the end of the game," and he asked if it was Siddiqui, and the person was like, "I think so, yeah, why?" And he was like, "Siddiqui was just trying to do his best to try and get a fourth goal because that's what he wanted." It's just like just the way Regis is with the press and sarcastic is just tremendous.
Exactly.
But it's one of those, as I say, we can talk about this all the time. Could delve more into refereeing decisions, but why would we win? We've won the game.
We got the 3 points, we move on, mate. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Right. Speaking of moving on, obviously games are coming thick and fast. That fast, it's Wednesday against Liverpool at Liverpool. Obviously, for those that have watched the matches today, they won, I believe, 2-0 away at West Ham. So obviously they got themselves a little bit picked up after their run of losses. How we're feeling lads going into that game? Obviously, we're going to be massively riding high on confidence. We've already taken 4 points from two of the three big six, shall we say? What we're feeling like going into this one?
To be honest, I was actually quite dreading it
Mhm.
because of the form that Liverpool's been on recently,
Yeah.
and the fact that Isak, who cost them so much money, hadn't scored a goal.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, typical Sunderland, it's going to be us, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then after today, them beating West Ham and Isak scoring, it sort of like made me think, well, look, we'll keep fighting. And the fact we've taken that sort of hoodoo away from us with obviously coming down from 2-0 for the first time in the Premier League, but also, we're not going to be the first team that Isak scores against and stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm a little bit more positive. Look, it's going to be a very, very tough game. I mean, Anfield's not an easy place to go to at the best of times, let alone on a Wednesday night.
Mm.
100%. This is the start of the tough month, shall we say? Look, we came out of, for me, we appear to have come out of Saturday's game unscathed in terms of injuries and suspensions.
Yeah.
Is this, I know I keep saying it, but is this the game where one of them takes, does Xhaka get himself the yellow card? So he misses Man City, but then he's ready for the derby? Because let's be honest, this is probably his last chance to take the free hit. You
Yeah.
get carded against Man City, you miss the derby, that's going to cause, well, it's going to open a lot of conversations up, isn't it, as to why and how we're
Yeah.
going to cope and stuff. And I'm not ready for that. Well, look, Liverpool are a tough side. Yes, they're having a rough season. To go from league champions to where are they now? Eighth in the table, I believe.
Mm.
They've won 7 and lost 6. They haven't drawn anything.
Yeah.
So how about we just go there, shake hands, have a beer, and leave, and everyone has a point? I
It'd
think
be
that'd be
nice.
the nicest result for us, lads. To be honest.
We can always take some beach balls again.
Wasn't the beach ball at Stadium of Light though?
Yeah, but
and it was an actual Liverpool beach ball.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Which they did stop selling in the shop after that.
Do they have a beach in Liverpool?
We can try and find one.
Anyway, yeah.
Well,
Technically, I'm sure they do, but
I was going to say, if anybody watches the chase, somebody said it was an ice cream truck the ball hit apparently in the middle of the pitch. But hey, for me, I was likewise similar to yourself, Robin, in regards to the nervousness of the game, because just the way they were not performing their best. And to be honest, watching their game today, to me, they didn't perform the best either. It was it's very strange seeing the way they started their season to what their season is now. So for me, I think we just go out. Players were similar to the way we played against Chelsea and Arsenal. Play with just the no fear and just show we're not a push around, really, for me. And in relation to that, would you see us go back to the back five for Liverpool? Or would you say stick to the back four that did quite well on the weekend there against Bournemouth?
I mean, I think because it's Liverpool, I think he will probably go to the extra defender.
Okay.
I think it's the thing that we'll probably do more away from home than we will do at home.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, depending on the opposition. Liverpool's a threat going forward. Obviously Salah, he's not been in the greatest of form. Ekitike started really well, but's dropped off a bit. Obviously, Isak scored today. Gakpo scored as well. Their midfielder and stuff. Going forward, they don't really have the problems. It's defensively where Liverpool struggle. They just don't seem to be with it at all defensively. Van Dijk's getting that bit older now, and I know people said that Xhaka's legs had gone, where it does look like now that Van Dijk's legs have gone, because he's a shadow of his former self. And they just can't seem to find the right sort of balance. Obviously they brought in obviously Kez as the left back, which has displaced Andy Robertson, but he's not really been in there, great. There's obviously Frimpong, who they brought in to sort of replace Alexander Arnold. Not really hit the ground running at all. Obviously they've been playing. Is it Bromley there, Connor Bromley there as well? But he sort of had a great game against Real Madrid, and then he's sort of gone missing again. So it's defensively, and even they've had obviously problems with Alisson and that, and they obviously brought in, was it Mamadashvili, their other goalkeeper, who cost an awful lot of money as well. But even Alisson doesn't look like his former self. He looks a bit off it as well. So if we can get at them, and cause them problems, that's why I'm saying I'm more confident now after them actually winning than what fear I had of before. Because, like I said to you, it would be typical of us to go there and get turned over and, and Isak score his first goal, etc. But that's happened now.
In regards to, I just wanted to ask quickly, then Kev, I'll let you give your thoughts on how they'll line up. Frimpong's injured, is he not? Or is he back? Because I don't think he started today.
The problem with the
I might be
Liverpool
wrong.
squad is they've got too much choice.
Yeah.
I think that genuinely is the problem that Arne Slot's having at the moment, is he has too much choice. So he doesn't know who to pick. Like Robin said, Bromley has a good game against Madrid and is then dropped. But yeah, my understanding would be, and from listening to, the odd thing here and there on TalkSport, Robin, your favourite channel, mate. One of the things that Liverpool and the likes of Man City have got is they've got too much of a squad. So they struggle with resources and who to pick. What you've got to look at for me realistically is, like Robin said, Van Dijk is struggling, but it's what they do midfield moving forward. Obviously, they use McAllister really well, Gravenberch, and then Gakpo causes you a lot of trouble. But I think is Gakpo not one of their top goal scorers at the moment? For me, I wouldn't worry so much about their back line. It's more what they're going to do to you coming forward, which again is why I think Isak struggled until, well, I think he scored today.
Yeah.
He doesn't work the way Liverpool like to play. But yeah. I'm not sure with Frimpong. I'm trying to look online there. I can't see anything about Frimpong being out for them, but that's not to say it isn't going to change.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, just to see how they come across us. And I just think I've got a feeling the belief that Regis has built with the lads is effectively don't fear anybody. And I think what's starting to come across and trying to prove that amongst the mix is the fact being that when the lads do come out, or I think we've said this time and time again, though, we can go a goal down, and it's more the fact being the lads are like, okay, it's a little bit of a challenge to come back, but we're in ready for the fight, and we're not here to be pushed around, so to speak. And I think that's what you were touching on before, Kevin, in regards to pundits and things like that. Is Sky, especially, they were doing a little bit of work today, just talking about the fact being when Man United won earlier in the day, and they're like, "Oh, Man United's back up in effectively the top half of the table," and they're like, "There's one team that's keep on floating around at the minute that's causing everybody problems, and that's little old Sunderland." But I'm just glad at the minute the whole newly promoted bit is getting taken out. You want to look at a newly promoted team that's struggling, look at Leeds. Concentrate on that newly promoted team, because as you put in the chat, Robin, if I'm right in thinking, you said 24 points. They said that they beat us by last season, and where are they in the table?
Yeah, well, that's what we were reminded of when we went up, because obviously we went up via the playoffs, and obviously they finished level on points with Burnley, and everyone's favourite to go down was us. But then, Kirill brought in Ghisolfi in the summer and got some amazing players through the door. And yeah, we were a completely different squad. You know, I mean, it's you just look at the people that are playing regular that were part of that, you know, promotion winning side. You know, obviously Ballard, Hume, Isidore, Lefay, you know, have been regulars in there. You know, then obviously Chris Riggs had a few appearances off the bench. You know, 09's not featured. Dan Neil, got 5 minutes or something? You know, this was our captain last year. Obviously, my enders had a few little run-outs, but not many. Obviously, Mundell, it was nice to see him come back yesterday. You know, but there's not a lot of players, with the exception of Ballard and Hume, I say Lefay and Isidore, 4 of them out of the 11 that have actually featured a lot.
Yeah. Go on then, Kev. I do apologise. We'll eventually get your thoughts on the potential lineup.
No, look, I think he goes for back five. I think it is the most sensible thing to do when you're going up against the likes of your Liverpools, your Arsenals, your Man Cities, because these are all teams that we are facing, you know, or have recently faced. Yeah, I know fans don't like seeing it. They feel it's too defensive, but until you know what they're going to do, like how they're going to come at you, being more defensive is probably the better approach.
Yeah.
You know, for me, you put someone in the middle of the defence that could potentially also play slightly further forward in terms of like Katrudia. Worst case scenario, you start with a back five, you do 20 minutes of back five, realise that actually you don't need it. You've got an option to move him around. I feel if you set up with a back four and then you think, oh, actually, no, we could do with a fifth defender, you've probably got to try and make an early substitution, depending on who you've started with.
Yeah.
But this is where Regis is, you know, for me, the absolute ultimate, you know, turbo nerd. He will research the life out of Liverpool.
Yeah.
You know, I do trust him. Whatever he decides to go with, we'll take whatever, you know, at the end of the day, at the start of the season, if someone would have said you're going to get results against Arsenal, Chelsea, you'd have probably snapped their hands off. You'd have probably snapped their hands off against Bournemouth. You'd have probably snapped their hands off against Forest. Do you know what I mean? These are all teams that we've, in my opinion, got results against in some way, shape, or form. And if you get anything against Liverpool, I mean, it's going to start the conversation of give Regis his own statue.
Indeed. Speaking of results, obviously, let's get some predictions under the way then. Kev, I'll start with you first. See what your thoughts are then.
I said it'll start. Let's just go and have a beer and share the points.
All right.
Put me down for a draw of any sort, mate. It can be 0-0, 1-1, 2-2. I couldn't care. I would just love to come away with it. Coming away from there with even a point would be a result.
Yeah. Come on then, Robin.
Well, look, obviously, pretty much same with Kev. I think a point there is a really good result. You know, we don't win at Liverpool very often. You know, and that's what we want to be trying to do with the stadium and like keeping it and keeping other teams from winning there. But I'm actually feeling quite positive, and I think we're going to come away with a 3-1 win.
All right. Okay. Nice. It's normally me going with the crazy ones, but okay. For me, I'm following similar like to yourself there, Robin. I do believe that there's going to be a victory there for us. But I think it's going to be a nervy one. I think it's going to either come really early on for us or it's going to come late on. But I'm thinking it's just a sneaky little 1-0 win. Just to see it out and a Regis like if it goes in an early goal, I think it'll just be a Regis masterclass in defence, just to effectively shut them out and keep them at bay. I think that's about it for tonight. I think we've covered everything off. Obviously, to those listeners that listen to us, thank you very much. It does mean a lot with your time and patience with us. Good news is Robin didn't listen to TalkSport again, so we're all good. We'll have that the next week instead. But no, Kev, thanks for joining me, mate. It means a lot.
Yeah, pleasure, mate.
Nice
As
one.
always.
And Robin, and you, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, mate. And obviously, yeah, I'll remember not to have the background track playing, so to speak.
That's all good, man. We'll just next time just pretend we're doing actually a live phone and it'll be better. But no, everyone, pleasure as always, and we'll see you on the next one.